If you're watching this in the West, well then, chances are you're never going to be able to get your hands on Vivo's new NEX 3 5G. The company is kind of a big deal in its native China, but not surprisingly, they're nowhere to be seen on the US market. It's sort of a shame too, because they make some pretty interesting devices. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm sitting here staring at images of the NEX 3 shouting, "Why can't I have you?" But there's no denying it's a pretty nice looking phone. For one, it's basically completely bezel-less. It's got a very similar vibe to Samsung's Galaxy S10, in large part thanks to the way the screen curves over the edges. The 6.89-inch panel is what Vivo is calling a Waterfall FullView display, which takes up a stunning 99.6% of the front. It's actually pretty reminiscent of competitor Oppo's Find X, which we saw in July. You'll also notice that there's no notch or cutout on top of the screen. That's because Vivo decided to shake it up a little bit when it launched the original NEX last year and included a selfie camera that pops up from the top and then just hides away when not in use. It's kind of like magic. We also need to talk quickly about the cameras around the back. There's 3 of them. They're housed in this large circular hump. There's an ultra-wide and a 2x telephoto lens in there, but they seem pretty standard. The interesting sensor is the main one, which is a 64 megapixel monster, though none of them have optical image stabilization, which will probably take the whole setup down a peg. Of course, the NEX 3 5G also supports 5G, surprise, surprise. Though despite Vivo being one of the first companies to demonstrate millimeter wave 5G, there's no support for it here. Instead, the new NEX is limited to sub-6 GHz bands. But it does pack Qualcomm's top-of-the-line 855 Plus chipset, and since the display is only 1080p, it's got plenty of horsepower left over to power through an endless array of 3D games, photo edits, or anything else you can think of. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, this is just what I needed, you could go out of your way to try and import one, though I wouldn't recommend it. Compatibility with US 5G networks is going to be touch and go at best. The NEX 3 5G will hit store shelves in China on September 21st, starting at the equivalent of about $810 American dollars. If you like hearing about all the fancy phones you can't buy, well then I'm going to politely ask you to click that subscribe button. It's all I can do.